I need to know everything, who and the what and the where, I need everything. Trust me, I hear what you're saying, but act like it's new what you're telling me. I'm curious, George, I hop in the Porsche, 5 on a horse, I'm ready for war, I'm coming for throats, to turn to a ghost, I need to know everything. Now you be surprised at the info you get is by letting them.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Startups on the Blocks. Mike, you can go ahead and turn your camera and mic back on, and I'll add you to the stage here. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Lloyd.
Glad to have you here, and we're looking forward to chatting with you. And I want to get started a little bit with our information about Startup on the Blocks for our new folks tonight. So let me share my screen with that. All right. So Startup on the Blocks, we got Mike Ellicott here today, and we're excited to have him here. And first, I want to give acknowledgement to our sponsors, Innisfree Hotels. They've been helping us out with funding our pitch competitions. We've partnered with the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber to get connected to information and to meet more founders. We also partnered with the Bantucola Chamber. They and the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber. They offer free memberships to our first place pitch competition winners. We work closely with the Small Business Development Center. They help out with the mentoring and consulting with our founders. And Bantucola, they're a streaming partner. We're streaming live on Facebook on multiple pages, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Thanks to Chris. We really appreciate his support. Our last pitch competition last month was back in December. Yeah, last month was sponsored by The First. We're glad to have them on as a partner and a supporter, and we're looking forward to doing more with them this year as well. Gulf Power, now Florida Power and Light, they're they're our title sponsor, so they've been helping us out with a lot of activities. So we can't do Startup on the Blocks without them. And we've been at this a little while. This is our 70th event, and so we're excited about that. There's a lot of opportunities out there, not from just what we do, but if you're a founder, this ecosystem provides a lot of help. And then for the founders of color, has been some money set aside over the past couple of years to support founders of color as well. Yeah, so Mike is our guest today, and one of our future guests is Miss Fellows. We're looking forward to having her on next month as well, and we'll get some folks lined up for next week and the week after before Miss Fellows gets on. So this is our Startup on the Blocks Founders Playbook, and I'm really excited about this slide today because when you go through this particular playbook, you should be pretty squared away as far as being a founder. Number 2 here, that lean startup methodology, thanks to Gulf Power and Florida Power and Light, we now have the lean startup methodology training. So we are totally excited about that. And just to give you a little idea of what that's about, we're going to kick off this business model design here in March, and we're going to invite all our portfolio companies to that, and this is just to make sure they can actually see the real training on how to do business model design and how to pitch their ideas clearly and concisely. And then in April, we're going to launch our first cohort based on this training methodology. So stay tuned and be on the lookout for the information related to that. It's real exciting. So what do you think, Mike, about what we're doing here with Startup on the Blocks?
It's amazing. I came from the military and the corporate world, and it's super cool over the last couple months that I've been able to find and link in with all the things that are happening in Pensacola, and especially what it is that you do. And that lean startup methodologies. I'm looking forward to seeing more about that. That's three-quarters of the battle right there, having a proven process that's already out there running, and being able to like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you will, as you get more familiar with it, it probably models that entrepreneur operating system that you're doing as well. It's probably a lot of similarities in there as well. Well, so why don't you go ahead and do a little brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah. So growing up, I spent a lot of time sort of running side hustles. I delivered papers. I had a business putting flyers on people's cars and in their mailboxes and really making them
Okay.
happy. Did that all the way through college, but then for the next 28 years, I led and delivered projects around the world, here in the United States, in the Caribbean, in the Middle East, both in the military and in the corporate world as an engineer.
Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing a lot about that.
Oh yeah, cool stuff. I can't believe that people pay taxes. I got to use their tax money to do the things that I got to do, and so I'm excited about that kind of stuff. But since then, a couple of years ago, we moved down here. I left the military. We moved down here, and I started this business that I own now, which is a Casa Six Group, where I get to help people guard and grow their freedom, their family, their faith, and most importantly, their fun, so that they have
Yes.
fun doing it.
Okay.
That is a brief introduction to me. 28 years out of college, a good chunk of that in the military, all of that delivering engineer products and engineering services, and super fired up to no longer work for somebody else, but to work for myself. Help the people that I love to help and do the things that I love to do without having somebody else get in my business about it.
Yes. And so I always like to let the audience know how, I meet their guests, the guests we have. And so you and I met at the Jetty IoT networking event there, open house, I believe it was a couple of weeks or so ago.
Yeah. We sat next to each other at the 1 million cups, but you had to make a break for it early, and so I didn't really have a chance to introduce myself.
Yes, okay.
We did get a chance to talk there. Yep.
That's right. That's right. I remember that too. Where I guess one of our portfolio companies, Troy, with Dribbles, was doing a presentation that day.
He was the featured speaker that day, and that's also where I met Brian with the Gulf Coast Minority Chamber.
Yes, that's right. And so when we met, had a chance to talk over at Jetty IoT, you were started telling me about how you wanted to help veterans and stuff. So I thought that was pretty neat. And I want to let the audience know we've probably only known each other maybe like not even 3 weeks yet, and we've both have had some great benefits from the relationship, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I think that just speaks to the power of networking.
Yeah, networking is king. It makes all the difference in the world.
Yes, that's exactly right. So, what did you study in college?
My undergraduate is mechanical engineering. Right, my alma mater is Florida Tech over in Melbourne, Florida. So I got a degree in mechanical engineering from them, and hated it. I could not believe that I had to do it. I needed it. I got a scholarship for it, so
yeah,
I did that. But that was the main reason why I joined the Army, was because one of the summertime training events that I had before I graduated was going to Missouri and learning how to blow stuff up.
Okay.
Once you blow something up, man, it's pretty cool. So I didn't do any engineering for probably the first 5 years in the military, and then quickly got back into it. But my undergrad degree is in that, and
So like a lot of people may not know much about Florida. What you said, Florida Tech. So tell us a little bit about that school down
there. Florida Tech's a private college in Melbourne, Florida. So the east coast of Florida, almost straight across from, or just a couple 20-minute drive south of Kennedy Space Center.
Okay.
So it was originally established in order to support the folks who are working at Kennedy Space Center, provide them education and engineering. But now it's grown 3, 4, 5 times the size it was when I went there.
Great.
When I was there, it was an engineering program, a couple strong engineering programs, a flight program, and that was about it. Now
Mhm.
they have a world-class logistics training program, and a lot of folks who are logistics professionals, certainly regionally, but in a lot of cases internationally and nationally, are getting their degrees out of there. It still has a world-class flight training program.
Mhm.
Folks who are operating a lot of the, Tampa Airport, as a matter of fact, is run by an FIT grad.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then
So
there is a significant engineering program there as well.
that's great. Yeah. So did you go through ROTC or
I did, yeah.
was that Army ROTC?
Army OTC.
Okay.
My dad was in the military, and I had sworn that there was no way I was going in the Army. And then I needed a way to pay for school because it was expensive.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Especially a private school. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. That's exactly right. So what career did you just decide to get started in the Army?
Well, because I got to go to that school where I learned how to blow things up, I wanted to be an engineer in the Army because that's what they
Okay.
did. And that's, like I said, that's what I saw for the first 5 years. I mean, I left from Florida in the middle of Florida there. In my first duty station, I got to spend 3.5 years in Hawaii. And
Okay.
travel
So
around
what
the
was
Pacific
that?
Rim, and man, that
Yeah.
was good
So was
stuff.
it like combat engineering
Yep,
engineers
combat
or something?
engineer.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, what I say to people about the Army officers, they go to training before they actually go to the units. And what I noticed when I worked for the Air Force, the lieutenants would come straight out of college into the lab, and then go off to some school later. And I thought that was a little interesting how different services approach that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so your career in the Army, did you also have you said you did some did you do some contracting for the military after you got out of the military
Yeah,
or
so I spent a good chunk of time working for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers,
okay, gotcha.
and that's where I did a lot of the contracting, the construction, and engineering design side of things. I spent a bunch of time doing that. First in Charleston, South Carolina. Spent a couple years there working on the harbor and a lot of the things that they built up around Columbia, South Carolina, like Fort Jackson.
Okay.
And my last job in the military was with Memphis District, U.S. Army Corps of
Hmm.
Engineers. We did a lot of work with the Mississippi River and flood control along
Okay. Yeah, that's a challenging
there.
thing, that flood control.
Yeah, yeah. The Army likes to call it flood risk mitigation now because they say you can't control the floods.
Yeah. So so you already knew that out of the military you wanted to go do the same type of work. Did you establish your own company, or which approach did you take?
Um, yeah, so I knew that when I left the military, I wanted to be able to continue to do some of the things that I truly enjoyed. That job in Memphis, that was truly the first time where I actually got to help Americans. All the other
Okay.
jobs, I helped Afghans, or I helped Kuwaitis, or I helped Haitians. But this time I actually got to work with and help the folks, who lived behind the flood wall in Memphis, or the folks who lived in
Okay.
eastern Arkansas.
Gotcha.
That's what I wanted to do, was continue to be able to help that. So I left the military and joined an architectural engineering firm,
Okay.
help them do federal business development.
Okay. Okay. So how long did you stay with that firm?
2 years. 2 years.
Okay. Okay.
They're a great firm. It was a real strong culture. A lot of folks were interested in making the world a better place. Um,
Okay.
but it was, like I said, man, you get tired of working for somebody else.
Yes. Yes. So what business did you start, and why did you start that particular business?
And so that the answer to that question starts back when I was still in the military and still
Okay.
working in Memphis. That job that I had there, we had when I first got there, it was about 450 folks that worked for me. Did
Hmm.
a $93 million a year budget,
Wow.
and we had some significant problems. $93 million for that organization was just barely keeping it ticking over. Uh,
Okay.
the amount of assets that we had to maintain, and the number of salaries we had to pay, and the level we had to pay, just barely kept it
Wow.
running. And it's hard to imagine that 93 million isn't enough, but
Hmm.
it was. We had some problems with dysfunction and infighting on the leadership team. We had some challenges with the way we were delivering projects, and we had
Mhm.
some problems with the culture too. People started to fight, and it was almost eating itself alive. And a
Mhm.
friend of mine gave me a copy of a book called Traction by Gino Wickman,
Okay.
and I read that book and started using those things. It was everything that I learned over 20 plus years in the military, but it was in words that you didn't have to have 20 years in the military to understand.
Wow. Okay.
Arranged in a way that made it dead simple to
Okay.
understand and to put in place. And so started using that. And within 18 months, we coalesced around a vision. We knew what we were going to be 10 years from then. We had improved our project delivery process to the point where we were getting unsolicited positive feedback from our customers saying, "Hey, man, this is great. Thank you for this."
So are you saying that you actually implemented that in the military?
It's not. I didn't do a pure implementation. I implemented the parts that I could because there's a lot of challenges that you have. That
Hmm.
organization was 423 people to start. Only two of us were in uniform.
Okay.
The rest 400 plus were Department of Army
Civilian.
civilians. So
Yeah. Mhm.
there's rules that Office of Personnel Management has that don't fit in line with a lot of the tools that are out there.
Yeah.
So as best I could, I started implementing that. But yeah, we voted ourselves best place to work, federal government, 4 years running.
You got to be kidding me. So this traction book, you took that to heart and you implemented as best you could in your military job, and you saw the results, fairly
In
fast.
18 months, it was day and night. I mean,
Wow.
and it wasn't easy. The
Yeah.
tools are all simple and the things are all simple, but man,
Hmm.
the results were good because I will tell you when those problems were happening at the beginning, and I wasn't sleeping at night. Folks in the
Hmm.
leadership team were struggling at every level. And by the
Yeah.
time it got running, man, it made a difference. I could go home and I could coach my kids in soccer. I didn't have to
Yes.
spend all night at work. I didn't have to leave at 3 in the morning and get back at 9 at night. It
Yeah.
was not just professionally but personally a big deal.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you went into that and that part of it in a little bit more detail, because I bet you there are a lot of founders out there that's wishing they can streamline their business the way you turn that around.
Yeah, I
So
mean, there's a big effort, not only among entrepreneurs but in the military, right? You got to be in the grind. You got to be pushing every day, 100
hmm.
hours a week, and that's the way it is. And man, when it doesn't have to be that way, it's nice.
Yes, I would agree with that 100%. Man, that's really some good reasons. So I'm sounding like you took that same strategy. So what did you do when you? So tell me a little bit about the company you started. Was it this EOS thing, or what was?
Yeah. So as I was trying to figure out how I was not going to work for somebody else,
Hmm.
I was looking for a bunch of different things. I looked at buying a couple companies
Yes.
that were here and leverage some of those SBA loans that are available.
Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
this was, this all happened as COVID was crushing everything. And so there
Yeah.
were opportunities that were out there, folks that were hurting. But I never came across the opportunity that really clicked with me.
Uh-huh.
And late last year, or I guess early last year,
Yeah.
Traction came up with a franchise model. We always
Okay.
had great intellectual property that was out there, but they built a franchise system that really supported folks like me who loved it and wanted to get
Yeah.
into it, but needed a
Okay.
little bit more structure.
Yeah.
And so I spent about 4 months in discovery, figuring out and making sure that it was for real,
Okay.
and then started up Castle Six Group with the intent and understanding that I wanted to help people guard and grow their freedom, family, faith, and fun,
Yes.
with a personal mission to be able to grow 250 businesses here in the Gulf Coast. And at
Okay.
least 100 of them I want to be veteran-owned businesses. Because I've
Yes.
seen the impact. I know the difficulty it takes from getting out of the military and being able to work and excel here. And I see a lot of folks who get out and they just don't operate to their potential. There is no
Hmm.
doubt in my mind that the vast majority of veterans can get out and they can kick some butt as an entrepreneur, running their own small business and making stuff happen. I want to be able to support that as best I can.
Yes. It looks like we got a question already from Quinn. What it says? What was one of your big takeaways from from that book traction?
That you don't have to focus on one thing at a time. But if you leverage the systems, if you put the pieces in place, everything works at the same time. So I don't know if you've ever read the book Traction, but
I haven't, but I will after this session.
yeah, I'm a believer. I'm an evangelist for Traction, but it really talks about the fact that at any given time, an entrepreneurial leader is dealing with about 136 separate issues.
Okay.
You're dealing with them simultaneously. But to the extent that you can simplify and strengthen 6 key components of your business, all those 136 issues kind of drop out and they fall in place because they're almost always symptoms of problems, not the true root cause of those problems. So it gives you a way to focus your time and energy and make sure that everyone is accountable so that you have a whole team working, whether that team is 2, 1, or 50.
Okay.
Solving that process, achieving that vision, and making things happen. So the takeaway for me from that book was really that I didn't have to focus on one thing. We could work on a bunch of things at the same time and get traction.
I'm glad that sounds very, very, very.
Yeah, hopefully, Quinn, that answered your question. Was that what you needed?
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like a good answer to me. So he can put something in the chat again if he needs some further clarification. But yeah, it sounds good. And so you mentioned this goal. You wanted to have 250 people or businesses, and at least 100 of those you wanted to be veteran-owned businesses.
Yep, that's the goal. I put it out there a couple months ago with no idea how I'm going to get to 250.
Okay.
No idea how I'm going to get to 100. And
we're definitely going to help you as best we can.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. Since I put it out there, man, there's been a bunch of things that have just shown up out of nowhere. One is the Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses. I think we're looking seriously at starting a chapter up here on the Panhandle.
Okay.
Cover folks who go from Pensacola to Panama City Beach.
Mm-hmm.
There's folks like you, Bob Foster, who have come out of nowhere. Dave Merzen, who showed up out of nowhere. The connections I made back in with just today, Veterans Florida.
Yes.
Made some great connections today with them to see how they're doing stuff. And so suddenly that hope or that goal of helping 250 businesses in the next 10 years, I think I'm going to, there's a lot of pieces that are falling in place that might make that a little bit too short.
Yeah. But just sounds like it's getting working on it and letting people know what you're trying to do. Because when you told that to me, I started thinking about all the portfolio companies that we're working with, and just trying to identify who we could, steer your way to kind of, help them move forward.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was able to hook you up with Bob Dixon out of Synapse too, right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if people know about Synapse Florida. Kind of, what's your view of what Synapse Florida is all about?
So Synapse Florida is a 501c3, so it's a nonprofit. It's headquartered out of Tampa, Florida. And their whole point is to be able to connect entrepreneurs, investors, and stakeholders in order to accelerate that entrepreneurial growth here. They are huge in the Tampa area, and have been one of the key driving forces in growing not only the financial technology industry there in Tampa, but also a lot of the simulations technology that are going on in the innovation efforts that are going on in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Miami gets a lot of press for innovation work, but the folks who are making it happen in Tampa and Orlando are those Synapse folks.
Yes, and I put the website up here just so people can actually see it. And so you're and the folks down there wanted to have some local veterans here in Northwest Florida attend this particular conference, right?
Yeah. Those are folks that are looking to help entrepreneurs, regardless of where they are in Florida. They've got a great advocacy program with the state government, but they also have a lot of work that they do themselves. And so There are a couple sponsors that have signed up with Synapse that are looking to sponsor startups, both veteran and non-veteran startups, and have them come down and participate in Synapse this year. And that's one of the reasons why I want to connect you with Bob Dixon and his folks. He is the veterans lead on their board of directors. But he and Brian, the guys who lead there, they walk the talk, and they're great people to be able to connect with.
Yes, and I did have a meeting with Bob earlier this week, and he reiterated, what you said, and so until the conference, I guess it's on the 17th, and I told Bob what we were doing with Startup on the Block, so and so he set us up to have a booth down there at the event, and so we're excited about that. And what he asked me to, just like you said, to help find some veteran-owned companies, and they, they would provide them with the booth as well at no charge. And so I think that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. So the last time they held this one in person was a couple years ago, 2 years ago, and it was almost 5,000 people at that time. It was an unbelievable experience. If you have any kind of thought about leading or growing or connecting, there were folks there from every advocacy agency that you could think of that were there. Veterans Florida to the Florida Israel Business Conference. I mean, it doesn't matter who or what is in there; they're all there, and it was an unbelievably helpful organization, because no matter where you went, people wanted to tell you about what they're doing, and they wanted to connect you with somebody else who's doing some great work. One of the greatest things that came out of that conference 2 years ago is a company called Cope Notes.
Okay.
Back then, he was just starting, and he was providing text messages to encourage people during the day, right? For mental health and mental resiliency.
Okay.
Back then, he had about 500 people on his program.
Okay.
Now he's in 45 countries, and he is making it happen. And that's an organization that's dedicated to mental health, and it was an amazing transformation. And those are the folks that you met when you were walking down the hallways at the Amelia Arena.
And so you're kind of implying that this Synapse Florida, they're all about helping founders and startups kind of expand and be successful.
Yep. Yeah. And there are folks that are walking around with bags of money. And I can hand them to you there, but the Florida Funders folks are on the board of directors of Synapse. And they were at the conference every day, looking for folks to see, connecting them with other folks who had money, connecting them with other folks who are looking to invest. There's pitch competitions that are there that are real money. There are founders and CEOs that are there. Like that picture that's on the screen, that's the CEO of Spanx. And so if you've ever heard of those Spanx, the clothes for women, that's her. She was there. And she has her own startup program for women-owned businesses.
Yeah, you can't really underestimate the number of people out there, like yourself and like the founders of Spanx, giving back and trying to help more founders be successful. And so once you get connected to a conference like this, you want to go every year and participate. And I think it's like, for a startup to have a booth sponsored for you, so you can actually make connections. And I think so. Is there anybody in the audience that might be interested in taking advantage of the offer? Just let me know. You can put it in the chat or shoot me an email and let me know. And so, because we definitely need to get you hooked up so you can get all signed up and everything. So I'm looking forward to attending, and so that should be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to getting back, because I think even maybe after that, I'm not sure when the what it's called, Emerge Americas conference. That's another conference for startups, and a lot of these conferences like this. And I'm not sure if Synapse is like this, but like Emerge Americas, what they do is they have startup showcases, and so you can apply to be in the startup showcase, and if you get selected, they will give you tickets to attend the booth. They'll give you a free booth, and then if your booth gets your idea gets judged, then they'll invite you to participate in a pitch competition. And so it's pretty fantastic, these opportunities. And my experience, like with the Emerge Americas, was you get to see the type of other startups you were actually competing with for these prizes and these opportunities. So it definitely makes you want to up your game there a little bit. So what this looks like. So the bottom line, Terry, I can and you can chime in too, Mike. But yeah, so right now you can contact me, Terry, and but the website. I'll put the link to the website in the chat, and just if you want to understand more about what the conference is. So, Lord Junior, if you would put it in there for me, I would appreciate that. It would be so I'll be glad to work with you if you are or a startup that's really interested in that in that offer.
Yeah, Synapse is also always looking for folks to present or be on panels or moderate panels too. And so that's another way to get in there and do some work. And I believe, if I remember right, they did have something similar to what you were talking about. Folks, so there was a popularity or hey, these guys really pitched well in the booths, and so let's get them up on stage and let's have them talk to the bigger group.
Yes, and so sometimes you have to dig a little deep on the website to actually find those things, but it's definitely a tremendous opportunity. And these startup showcases are a really good opportunity to meet investors, to meet other founders and other supporters, and learn about other programs, and to get interviewed. And it's just a tremendous opportunity.
And the practice of pitching your pitch every time somebody walks by your booth, man, you get good at that. You get good and real tight.
Yes, yeah, and you're exactly right. So I'm trying to see if there's any more posts here in the any more questions. But yeah, it's definitely pretty neat opportunity. So what's really your strategy and your approach to move forward on this particular your goal, and I definitely will be looking out for through our startup on the block stuff to help you. So what's your strategy and approach to reaching this goal?
Initially, it was prayer.
Okay.
A little bit of hope. I know hope's not a strategy, but a little bit of hope. And I think now the strategy is to leverage this network that has been growing exponentially over the last, like I said, 3 weeks. I don't think it's been much longer than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
The strategy has been growing, or the network has been growing. So I think that's the continued network, continue talking about the opportunities out there, continuing to look for ways to connect. So the services that I love to do are not necessarily targeted at or truly effective for somebody who's just at the beginning of their startup journey. If you've got a business process and business model that's out there and it's executing, EOS will help you achieve everything you want to achieve from a business.
Yeah.
But as you begin to start off a business, there's some of those other things that that's why I'm excited to learn the lean startup methodology. Another tool in the toolbox. I'm fired up to do that. So I think that's another thing that's out there.
And so I think I guess I'll go ahead and you want me to show you a slide, and then that way I can, after I see it, I can kind of tell you where it fits in.
Yeah. If you want to share that slide with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So what Lloyd's got up here on the screen, I mentioned that there's 136 issues generally that startup founders, entrepreneurial leaders are facing on a daily basis, and all of them simultaneously. So
Okay.
the
I agree with that.
and these 6 key components that are on here, right? Vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the EOS model. There's 30 or 40 different models that are out there. This is the one that I personally use. This is the one that, if it works in a federal bureaucracy, man, it'll work anywhere. So
Yeah.
this is the one that I used. And to the extent that you strengthen those 6 key components that are in there, those 136 issues fall in place, and it makes it easier to manage your business, makes it much more fun to run your business, makes your business scalable, consistent, and ultimately a whole lot more profitable. And so what I help folks do is I help them with really 3 things, right? These pieces fall into 3 things. One is vision, helping everyone in your company, particularly in the leadership team, get on the same page with where you're going and how you're going to get there.
Okay.
2, I help you establish traction, right? Which means instilling real discipline and accountability in your business, so that no matter who you look at and where you're looking or when you're looking, people are executing on that vision, so that you're actually going to work towards achieving that vision on a daily basis. And then the 3rd part goes back to my personal goal of fun, right? I help folks set it up so that the communications are open and honest, the teams are functional, and folks can have some fun, so that you enjoy spending time with each other, because you're at work. Particularly entrepreneurs, you're grinding it out, 80, 100 hours a week. So you want to enjoy the time that you have when you're stuck with people. You don't want to be forced to fight through it. So by strengthening vision, traction, and people's healthy communications, and these 6 key components that are up on the screen, that's what I love to do. I've seen it work every time it's been embraced by folks, and it's amazing to watch the lights go click.
So let me ask you, so how many issues you say an entrepreneur has to deal with, or CEO has to deal with at one time?
136.
So are those grouped in these 6 so categories you have here?
Yeah. Not all of them easily. It's not relatively evenly dispersed. But there's at any given time somebody's dealing with about 136 different things, right? Am I going to hire the right person? Does the person I hire actually work? Why is this process not reported? Why do I have to keep doing the same thing over and over again? Why can't I solve this problem permanently? Why does this issue keep popping up? How do I know if my vision or my business is on track? What are the scorecard numbers? What are those dashboard numbers that let me know if I'm on track?
Yeah. Yeah. So so far everything you're saying is in the lean startup methodology. Yeah. So and I think I think so. This is definitely great, but just having a way to look at it and a way to implement it. Because the one thing I noticed about the lean startup methodology, it's rare to find, like, let's say if you're a founder or an entrepreneur, where's the thing that leads you through that process? Where's is there a framework that keeps you on track in that process? But the best way to understand what the lean startup methodology, I think what I saw back, I think in 2015 or so, when I was getting ready to go in my first accelerator program, these venture capitalists had overlaid the business model canvas/lean canvas into investor readiness levels. And so as you do stuff in the lean startup methodology, you start off at 0 at the idea stage, and as you do your customer validation and stuff, your idea becomes more valuable. And as you keep going up at the early stages, you're just friends, family, and fools that'll put money behind your idea. And then as you get further up in that, using that methodology in your canvas, and you validate the things in the canvas, then you get to the angel investors, and so it maps. So I don't know if you notice, being in the Army, engineering thing, was that, so if y'all use technology, they had what they call technology readiness levels.
Right.
Yeah, and so and you can look at investor readiness levels as the exact same thing.
Yeah,
And the way
did a
I
bunch
look,
of work with the Engineering Research and Development Center, ERDIC.
okay,
Yeah, so familiar with that.
yeah, but and it's all about innovation on that idea, that you have, and you in order to bring that to reality, you have to keep interacting with the customer all through every step, every phase. You have to as you find out what the customer's problems really are, and you start doing some low fidelity prototypes, and just keep moving on up the thing till you get to the point where you got your MVP, and you're actually building something that the customers are willing to pay for. And as a matter of fact, they're actually helping you. They're paying for you to build it,
Right.
and you're leveraging the ecosystem to get it. And the real purpose of the methodology is so you don't actually waste money building something before you
But
have.
nobody wants to buy it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it appears that your EOS model is that you got a company up and running, and that you use this model, this operating system, to actually help run the company better. But the lean startup methodology is to get you to the point where you
Get
can
you to
actually
this point.
launch and start your company. But you have to those same things that you mentioned that the founder is concerned about. They're confounded about. There are issues all through that whole process of getting and launching your MVP.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. This is, this system is for, like I said, you've got a business model that's up and running. This is going to help you. It's about execution, and so you're not reinventing the wheel. Like, you're figuring out how do I get somebody to pay? How do I track accounts receivable? This helps you put those processes in place and release that process key component.
Yeah,
This
and
is
try.
all about the execution and keeping the ball rolling.
Yeah, and
The
go ahead.
EOS model is a cool thing too. You can do this on your own. The book is out there. None of the stuff I'm talking about is secret. The book traction is out there. It's running. There's YouTube models, there are YouTube videos that are out there that talk about how to do all these things. So you can do it on your own. You can join. They have Basecamp is one of those project management tools that's out there. You can join the EOS Basecamp. And there's a
Wow.
whole lot more support and intellectual property that comes with it. Or you can go to the end. Like, what I do is I help companies put this in place.
Mhm.
So there's the full gamut of how you want to approach this. I love this because it's a complete system. It's all simple tools. You don't have to have a Harvard MBA to figure out any of this stuff, and you don't have to be a Harvard MBA to put it in place. It's
Right.
all dead simple. It's
Yeah.
not easy. There's going to be some knock-on drag-outs, but it's all dead simple.
Yes. Yes. And so so it's like you said, it's a tool for keeping track of all that, bouncing all those balls.
Yeah, to sort of orchestrate all those moving pieces that are out there and figure out how they all fit together, and then, to answer Quinn's question, right, how to be able to attack them all at once, so that you're not just, you're not focused on vision and not solving any of your issues. You're not focusing on data and getting that right, and then losing the people and making sure no longer thinking about the right people in the right place.
Yeah.
It helps you figure all that stuff out and really move forward at once.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So and the challenge for a lot of this entrepreneurship and founder and startup stuff is learning, where it all fits, and so the startup on the blocks, we're trying to help folks at that who are at that idea stage and trying to build a product, a service, and then launch their MVP. And so, but there's a lot of help and support at those phases. And so, because this ecosystem literally just provides you so much help, it's just
Yeah.
unbelievable. And they do stuff like traction and all this kind of stuff. You get those questions, but as you're doing the lean startup methodology, working with those potential customers and solving and figuring out how to solve their problem, you're actually getting traction.
Yeah.
and you measure, you just keep measuring and monitoring things no matter what stage you are in this process. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but like I said, I'm fired up to learn more about the lean startup methodology. Like I said, I love the way that you help with that idea stage. That's, getting up off your butt and moving, taking that first step is the hardest one, and I think
oh
what
yeah.
you do is amazing.
Yeah, and so the idea is when you're actually doing economic development and trying to grow, uh, create jobs in the local community, you you most of the programs tends to be for companies up and running, and so but this entrepreneurship led, economic development or innovation led economic development, you're building something that's never been built
It's never
before.
been built before, right? Yep.
Yeah, and so you use that. So this is another way you look at it when you're so in the military, and so you um, so the I tell people about the lab. I worked in a research lab, and I kind of relate that to the startup stuff as well. So you know, we got funding, what they call 6-1 funding, but that was just for ideas you had, and it wasn't necessarily a whole lot of money. But then once you got that funding, and then you kind of turn that into a concept, then there was 6-2 money for you to start prototyping it.
Right.
Yeah, and then the 6-3 money was, for you actually kind of do a high fidelity prototype or actually demonstrate that your thing works.
Hmm.
Then the 6-4 money was for when you're actually building that product or service and actually production, and rolling out. But the problem we got now is those cycles traditionally were long. You start working on a piece of software or a piece of hardware, and 5-10 years later you got the hardware.
Right. Right.
But with all this, uh, you can build products and service faster now, so that iteration cycle, is much faster. So you have to iterate with the customer, you know, um, every 2 weeks. You just keep this cycle, this battle rhythm, going, and so when you get the customer involved at every step of the way, they try out everything you do, no matter how bad it is, and they give you feedback on it. And so, but that's contrary to what we did you do in the military. You a lot of times you wait. You have reviews and everything, but a lot of times you wait till you actually built it and then let the customer.
And then let the customer play with it. Yeah, I mean, the move towards systems design thinking out of
Mhm.
Stanford School, that's been a sea change. Some places in the military, at least in the Corps of Engineers, have embraced it. Other places are never going to embrace it.
Yeah, and if you think about it, what this is a real important point too, and a lot of founders don't may not realize that this yet, is that the with the cloud and all the innovation out there for doing software products, that you can get a product out there, in a matter of weeks almost these days, as opposed to in the old days, you could take a year, 2 years, 3 years to get a product out there.
Just to get the time on a computer to run the simulations. Right now,
Yes.
all that can happen in the cloud from your backyard.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, that is, it's but you have to just kind of be willing to learn what's different now, and I find even a lot of our developers, they don't realize things are not hard, like they used to be, and so you you're it's just so much easier now to build stuff.
Right.
But you
Right.
have to learn how to use the tools to actually build it. So yeah, so you can, these hackathons, you have a working product in over a weekend.
Right. Right.
And
Exactly.
yeah, and so the whole support system is designed to help you do that. All the big companies, they help you do that, and they it's you know, that's what's so great about it. And if you're a founder, you don't realize that these companies out there waiting to help you. They're out there waiting to help you, and they will even help you design, architect your product. It's crazy. The opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but Bunker Labs is a veteran startup accelerator. They just within the last month, USAA had sponsored a huge. I don't remember the amounts, but they did pitch competitions around the country,
Yes,
all sponsored by USA, and they gave out a couple $1 million worth of funding out of that event.
fantastic.
And that Bunker Labs is doing that 3 or 4 times a year. Four Block is another one of those ones that's doing that multiple times a year.
Yes. Yeah, and I just saw the press release this week, and I do have a contact, thanks to you and Bob, a contact for Bunker Labs, and I'm going to connect with her and try to move forward that
Good.
connection. And
So
so,
connect with Valerie?
yeah, and so what the idea for me on stuff like that with Startup on the Blocks, if we can do a pipeline from Startup on the Blocks to Bunker Labs to Y Combinator to
Yeah.
Google for startups. That's when we try to help people get ready for those programs and refer them.
I also heard today too that Veterans Florida is going to run a virtual accelerator up here in the Panhandle.
Yeah,
I think they're doing it out of. The guys are going to run it out of Orlando, but they're going to run that here starting.
yeah, I saw that press release too, and so they're making. I was wondering because the press release, it didn't have any actual um, folks running programs over here. So, but you're saying they're going to serve the veterans over here through the virtual thing down from Central Florida.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I talked to those guys about today. Is I think they connected me tonight with the folks who are going to run it virtually.
Uh-huh.
What we're going to try to do is maybe tag on to one of the other events that that you're doing or Jetty IoT is doing, or
Yeah.
like your institute's got an open house coming up.
Yes.
And so I think it would be great to be able to tag onto that and say, hey, show up to this open house, and we're all all the folks around here, we're all gonna meet and shake each other's hand in real life. And we try to leverage the community that's already existing here in order to support what they're trying to do out of Veterans Florida.
Yeah, that's really good. I meant to show that slide about because of those events. Those
There you go.
startups.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, they're actually starting next Tuesday, and they got them set up to start the night before 1 million cups. So just to kind of support the 1 million cup thing. So yeah, I'm really excited that Karen over at Jetty IoT sort of spearhead the meeting to get those things kicked off, and we're definitely looking forward to participating, and we definitely want to make sure all the founders out there in the local area, come out and
It'd be cool to meet people. I got to meet Brian in person, but it'd be cool to meet some of the rest of the folks around here. What I would love to do with your organization is help in any way I can.
Yes.
That model that I showed, you could, like you said, you can start working on that stuff now. You don't have to wait till you're 100% your company. Just having those ideas in mind. Yeah. Any way I can help is what I want to do. I would love to say, hey, that 250 companies helped. That was too low.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I definitely appreciate that, and I love meeting people that are trying to help go down the same direction to help small businesses and founders to kind of move forward. Just I think it's the right thing to do.
I mean, how cool would it be to help the next Amazon that's sitting in somebody's garage right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is exactly right.
Pretty darn neat.
Yes, and I mentioned the Patriot Boot Camp. They did a press release this week, so I guess the DAD actually took over the Patriot Boot Camp, and that's a program. I'm not sure if they're going to continue to do it the same way, but it's for veterans, and it's like they invite the veterans to businesses to come for a boot camp from like a Friday through a Sunday, but they have all these resources there for the veterans, free this, free that, and to support them in their, entrepreneurship journey. And then in the old days, the Patriot Boot Camp, they were associated with, I think, TechStars as one of those accelerator
Yeah,
programs.
okay.
Yeah, and then so what's so neat about this ecosystem is that you get started at one point, and then there's another thing when you get ready for the next one. Then
Right,
there's another
right.
for that, and it's just really, really, really fantastic. And what I learned from participating in these different ecosystems down in Miami and New Orleans, um, Dallas, St. Louis, it's just you see you have to up your game in a lot of these situations because these folks in these other ecosystems, they're learning fast, and they're getting polished, and they're getting trained, they're getting the help. So when you start competing regionally and nationally, you got to bring your A game. And so it's our job, like the Startup on the Blocks and the other people in the ecosystem, to get our folks ready to compete with the folks down in Tampa, get our folks ready to compete with
Yeah.
the folks in Miami, because it certainly shows. I can tell you that. Yeah.
Hmm. That's what I said. Something like Synapse, where you get to stand there at your booth and pitch your company 40, 50 times.
Over and over and over
That's
again.
money in the bank. You don't say any
Yes.
fair words then.
Yes, yes, and so I'm definitely excited to kind of connect with you and kind of help us move the the needle forward. So I guess we can. Is there any other things you wanted to cover? Otherwise, we can actually wind up a little early than that. I've been on the road all day, so I'm ready to kind of wind down a little bit.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything else I want to cover. I do want to thank you though for the work that you're doing, and it's been awesome to see the connections that you've provided, and I'm fired up.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get you all hooked up. You're gonna be so connected. You can say, "What did I get myself into?" Yes.
That sounds like a good problem to have right there.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna definitely help you
Yeah.
reach your goals, and that's what the ecosystem is all about. Everybody helping each other to move further and forward, and to kind of bring each other along and support each other, on the journey there.
And hopefully, I don't know if you can put it up there, but you can reach me through that website that's on there, or you can reach me via email. If I can help, I want to help. I think it's
Yes.
there's a ton of opportunity out there. It's not a zero sum game. Somebody else doesn't have to lose for you to win. We can all win at this thing, and
Oh yes.
it's the
Yes.
best way to poke somebody else in the eye.
Yeah, and I used the term competition, but I didn't mean to imply that. So what I'm saying is, no matter where you are, you start from there, and we work with you
Yep.
from there, and we help you grow. But so when I say competition, when entrepreneurs come to Tampa there from all these different cities, we want our entrepreneurs to shine as well as those entrepreneurs from other things. That's what I mean about the competition part of it, because and the ecosystem is responsible for getting people ready.
Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of folks don't understand that, and so, but I do understand. It's our job to get the people ready, because the money is out there, like you said.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is out there. Hey, Marcel, thank you very much. Hey, if you got any questions, shoot me a note. I'm an evangelist. I love to talk about this. I love to tell you how it all connects together.
Yes. All righty. Well, we're going to go ahead and end on time this week. We tend to go a little bit over, but so I want just to repeat one more time. We're going to our coaches are going to be going through the training for the Lean Stack accelerator program, and we'll go through that next month. But at the same time we're going through it, we're going to put send invites to our portfolio companies to get them into the system so they can connect with each other, communicate with each other, and move forward. And we so that program will kick off in March, and it's a 30-day program, so we can make sure they're totally polished on how to pitch their idea, so get ready to go to the business validation stage.
Very cool.
Yeah, and because the bottom line is you have to be able to articulate your idea clearly and concisely. So what I've learned since we just started the startup on the blog state, Mike, is that when you look at the lean canvas, that is exactly what you have to pitch.
Right.
So if you do that, if you do that, get that down right, you're set. You got your foundation.
Yep.
Yep. And then the next step is just to
Not
validate.
wasting time and energy on something that's not worth it.
Yes, that's it.
That's
That's
probably
exactly.
you only have so much time and energy and ability to focus, and because
Yeah.
usually people start while doing something else.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so what you will notice if once you learn that lean startup methodology, what I notice is people can come pitch their idea and you can see if the foundation is not there.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's what's so beautiful about it. And yeah, and I can go on and on and talk about that, but I am excited and I'm overjoyed that we actually have the ability to train the folks in our area to with that lean startup methodology, so we can move forward. But thanks again, and thanks everyone for chiming in today. We definitely appreciate all the questions. And Mike, we look forward to chatting with you soon.
Yep. Thank you very much,
All
Mike. See you
all
guys
right.
later.